Hey, looks like we're in there. Hello, hello. Good evening, guys. It's the live vlog for this week, and I thought we'd talk a little bit as the world gets crazier and crazier. But hop in there and let's have a quick conversation before I go home. I've been working away over here. Here, let me move my lights. I can do that because I have a studio. So, howdy everybody. Good evening. I have a country that is completely overrun by terrorists. I mean, and people are like running and panicking and screaming. Terrorists. They're all freaking out about these terrorists that are purported by our government when our government are the terrorists. Our blue line is the terrorists. They kill, they extort, they abuse, they rob. Has anyone on here, does anyone feel like they haven't been robbed by their police and their government? By their government at the hand of their police? Does anyone feel like, people are like, oh, I support the police. Well, I think this is, okay, stop. Here's the thing. You support the idea of, I'm not even going to comment on that. You support the idea of police. Now, I'm not going to go down this line of F the police and things like that, right? Cops are human beings too, and I'm just going to love them enough to say, you're wrong, and you're a robber, right? I don't hate the robber. I don't want to hate. I'm not a hateful person. But I'm going to be like, that's not okay. You're a robber. All right? So that's why I oppose the police. But here's the thing. We support the idea of police, right? If police were truly, what is law? Well, I talk about this in other videos. Go to the law category on this channel here. If you're new, subscribe or share it with someone else, right? Because I got some cool things coming that I'm going to tell you about tonight. But law is life, liberty, and property, right? Equally and for all. If you had peacekeepers, police, if you will, that were protecting that, constables protecting everyone's life, liberty, and property, but not violating anyone's life, liberty, and property in the name of doing so. Okay, that's what we think of when we support police. Now, if you study marketing, I study marketing a lot because I have a business and I sell a lot of stuff online. I make photography tools and stuff, right? You can go to my page for that or my website, seimeffects.com. I make Photoshop actions and I teach photo workshops and I make videos and things like that. And we have a studio. So where was I going with this? This is the problem with live stuff. Okay, no, we got it. So we have this idea of police. And here's the thing. When I was a kid, anybody shout out if when you were a kid, I'm in my early 30s, a lot of us when we were kids, it was like promoted this idea of go to a police officer if you need help, right? Police are the good guys. Now I realize that's still promoted, but among the young crowd, I would say that's a little less prevalent. Yes? When we were young, like in the 90s, remember the 90s? Okay, when we were young in the 90s, we thought, well, police are good, right? And yet I knew, like, okay, police are out writing tickets for dumb stuff. I knew something was wrong because I'm a free thinker. But it was different. Their behavior was actually less thuggish. There was still tons of corruption. The Constitution was being thrown out of the courtrooms right and left. But now the law is completely gone in this nation. The police do not represent the law in America at all. Not one sheriff, not one officer. If they stand up and defend your rights, they will be fired or worse. So what makes a good cop is one that ceases to be a cop, right? To be a good cop, you either have to stand up and get fired, or you have to quit because you can't take it anymore. And let's not kid ourselves. This is happening a lot, guys. You just don't hear about it because the blue line wants to promote this idea that we raise monuments to their dead and that we worship them and they can kill us all we want, okay? Here's the problem. That idea I just mentioned where we're raised thinking cops are the good guys, people have an idea, right? If you're taught with an ideal and you repeat that ideal, then you want to live up to that ideal, right? The more, and this goes into psychological stuff, things like the experimenter did with the test. That's a neat documentary, The Experimenter, and things that go into, even like prison camps in China during some of the wars and things like that, where they would do these psychological things to get people, manipulate people without force. And what we're seeing here, now the government's going to force, because ultimately that's always where corrupt government goes. But what I'm getting at is that people say, I believe this. I believe cops are good, right? So you say, I believe cops are good. I support the police, right? Well, now you want to prove that. Now you want to validate that. Are you following me here? Now you want to insist on that. And so the more you say that, the more you affirm something is right, the more you're going to change the course of your whole life to match what you have previously affirmed. And so if you just stop, if you're willing to stop and say, wait, no, what police are doing is not right. It's not right. I don't support the blue line. I don't support the police. I support the law. I support justice. I don't support America's fake courts and fake judges, right? Somebody says it's called confirmation bias, and that sounds right. I don't usually remember all the technical terms when I read the books because I'm looking for the concepts, but thank you. So you have this bias because you've predisposed yourself and you've affirmed a position that you stand on. And I see this all the time, and it kind of goes into this like Stockholm syndrome. Even if they're beating you, right, they're still supporting you. It's getting ridiculous. The longer we affirm something that's fake, the more we're wanting to prove it or to insist that it's true. So what happens? Well, this is why I'm always saying use your voice, right? Speak out, make a video, make a post. I did a meme on my Facebook page, facebook.com/callmegav, and I said just make this your profile. Say I oppose the police because they don't support the law, right? It's over on my page somewhere, that header picture. Or just make a post or make a video. Once you say it, your voice is a sword. When people speak something, it's not just a word, they're affirming something, and that becomes infectious. The reason that police can get away with this and have all these sycophant, idolatrous supporters is because these people have said for so long police are good, they refuse to deal with their conscience, they refuse to deal with the inconsistencies in their behavior. And so they just continue on, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Cascade effect as the country's collapsing on our head. All right? But if you speak out, the reason the police think they're heroes, and remember, with most cops, the villain is the hero in his own mind, guys. So the police are running around thinking they're heroes because their friends and family are patting them on the back. Their friends and family are not actually being loving, because to love them, they would say, dude, what you're doing is not wrong. Son, what you're doing is wrong. That's what a loving father of a police officer should say. Blah, blah, blah. But if we say that, so when you repeat something, what I'm saying is you show people that it's okay to do so and that it's being done by others, opposing injustice, opposing our totally corrupt court system, our totally corrupt prison system, and you set that standard. So the goal is to avoid violence, right? And violence, not that people don't have a moral right to self-defense. I've talked about that lots of times. But violence rarely solves it, right? If you violently resist a police officer, they have more guns. They're just going to shoot you or lock you in a cell. But if you speak out against them, if you walk up to their stop and film them, if you do like I did with the officer that threw the guy on the ground, right? That was threw down the disabled man on the ground. And I said, what are you doing? I stepped in. I said, hey, right? I didn't have to get violent. I didn't have to get physical. My presence, my voice was enough. Use your voice. Now, I want to wrap up here. I'm not going to clickbait you. I'm going to talk about this. This is a huge. It's backwards because the camera's flipped. Okay, people always ask me that. This is a huge bottle of Scotch. I am not going to drink it. Listen, I don't get drunk. All right, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer, but even common sense, this is a crazy world. I need my head about me, guys. I don't get drunk. I don't get high. Now, that's not to say I won't have a glass of wine or a drink of scotch. I actually do enjoy scotch, but this is an obscene bottle of scotch. Just me possessing this almost makes me look like I'm some kind of an alcoholic, and I'm not at all. In fact, I'm very moderate and very specific that I don't get drunk. I don't go out to bars. This was a gift. Somebody brought this in today. I was not here. A supporter brought it in as a thank you. They brought me this $50 bottle. I mean, this huge bottle of scotch, which is probably mediocre scotch, but it's Kirkland, and they tend to have some pretty good blends. And they brought me $50 for gift. So thank you, whoever you are, because I'm not sure who brought it in. But I'll take this home. I will not be downing this tonight. And it will be drunk in moderation. You know, my Christian friends, you know, they'll be like, Gavin, you shouldn't have scotch, right? That's a bad example. You know, I was looking it up, Romans 14, for one believeth that he may eat all things, and another who is weak eateth herbs, right? And there's all these scriptures about we're not putting ourselves under the law of these ordinances and specific rules. My law, the foundation of my law as a Christian is I love my neighbor as myself. I follow Christ. And for good reason, God tells me not to get drunk because I need my brains about me. So I'm not going to try and abuse someone else for doing it, but my recommendation is do not get drunk. I've never got smashed in my entire life, and I don't feel like I've missed anything. When I'm dealing with a struggle with something, I want to actually overcome it. Yes, my mind is sober. It's thinking. It's not dumbed down by dumb stuff. But I'm not offended if someone has a glass of whiskey or a glass of wine, and I might even offer you one if you're over. But if you're someone who is, right, because I have friends that don't drink, they're against alcohol, then I'm going to respect them, and I'm going to put it away when they come over. I'm not going to sit and like, oh, I know alcohol offends you, but I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine. That's not how I'm going to do it. And somebody says, we're all adults, Gavin. Don't be ashamed for being drunk. I would be ashamed for being drunk. Not because I'm an adult or lack thereof, or because I'm a kid, or because there's people watching. Because I answer to God, and I want to set an example for my children and my fellow man, and I love my neighbor, and I don't get drunk. Now, if you get drunk, I don't think that's the best idea, but that's your choice, as long as you're not hurting someone else. And that's my thoughts on it. Principle first. Principle's the foundation of liberty. Loving your neighbor is the foundation of liberty. And I'm a firm believer. We have to set aside this selfishness, self-focus, sin. I believe people should follow Christ, but I'm not going to try and force that on you. But we got to set aside our selfishness, because we will not get liberty. We won't get liberty if we keep just like operating on whatever works for me today, whatever's good for me, right? Because that mindset is the mindset that says, I'm going to ignore my neighbor being abused. I'm going to ignore my neighbor being abused as long as it doesn't hurt me. Well, eventually they will come for you. You stand up. We speak up now. You love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, I'm going to wrap up here. For those just coming in, if you miss what this ridiculously huge bottle of scotch is here for, go back to the video. I'm going to keep being honest with you guys. Whether you like it or not, subscribe, don't subscribe, like, comment, share. Go to my Facebook page, Call Me Gav. Go to callmegav.com. That's my website if you want. You can even buy me a cup of coffee over there if you want. So I've got a huge new project we're going to be working on. We're going to be doing a show. We're going to be ramping up some things. I've got some ideas I can't reveal all right now, but we are going to do a show that's at a whole new level, and it's going to be exciting, and you're going to know it when it comes, but you need to stay tuned to the channel. And got some new stuff we're working on. I know a lot of questions were in here tonight, and I didn't answer it because I had a topic tonight, and I don't want to go 30 minutes. I'm almost to 15 now, so I want to go home. I want to eat dinner. I want to be with my family. But we will do a Q&A show soon if you guys want it, so we can talk about some of this stuff. And keep up the fight. Use your voice. Using your voice is also your actions. It's not just like leaving rants on Facebook. It's getting out there. It's speaking out. It's calling out the police officer, the city councilman, the crooked politician, right? It's speaking up in defense of liberty so that we can hope to get some of it back. You guys have a good night. God bless. Stand up. Be principled.